inside.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I am James Pledger. I appreciate y'all joining me, however you may be joining me, whether that's 94.1 on your FM dial, if you happen to be locked in and listening live at sasportstar.com via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player, or if you happen to be watching on YouTube. That's right, we stream all of our shows live on YouTube. Just go there. Search SA Sports Star. Go ahead and like and subscribe while you're there. You're able to comment along with the show as it happens. Like Jacob's Eric, who says his chicken riblets are almost ready. Sounds delicious. I could use some dinner right about now. Of course, you can always call in the old-fashioned way, too, with whatever we're talking about. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776 if you want to be a part of the conversation. And lots to be had in the conversation. Like in our sports centers, we're talking about after North Carolina got bounced early, they made the decision to part ways with Hubert Davis after just 5 seasons at Chapel Hill. And now the race is wide open for who will replace Hubert Davis at one of the premier blue blood type organizations in all of college basketball. You think about North Carolina, you think about Duke, you think about UConn. It's the prestigious programs. And earlier this morning on the Morning Huddle, they were talking about Hubert Davis being out there, and then what constitutes an actual blue blood?
Let's start in college hoops, where Hubert Davis is now gone from North Carolina. We kind of thought maybe
this was imminent. I think I saw it about 3 weeks ago. There was a down period there where you kind of felt like there's just no there. And then we had a conversation about them dealing with a new arena and funding, and it'd be off campus and all this kind of mess. And it just kind of felt like things were unraveling in North Carolina.
Well, it all really unraveled on, Friday when they played VCU.
Oh, they had a nice lead and got smoked.
They blew a 19-point lead to VCU in that game, which I'm glad. I had VCU to win. And
we all did. We all
basically
saw it coming. It was a seeding upset, but by the eye, it wasn't an upset.
I'd kind of given up hope. I was like, oh, man, maybe I was totally wrong about this North Carolina team. And then, no, I was right. And a lot of it was, Hubert Davis kind of mismanaged the game down the stretch. And
that team was hurt all year. His star player, the NBA top 10 pick, didn't play. So there's a lot of reasons and excuses. You don't lose your game, your gig after one game. But like I said, it had been unraveling. They're not part of the elite by action. Now, their name still is elite, but by action and outcome, no. So they let them twist in a win for a couple of days, which I thought was unfortunate because we all kind of saw it coming. But here they go, and what they said they're swinging for the fences. They're going for the big daddies, so we'll see what they get.
It's easy to say that, and there are some people questioning. There's no doubt when Hubert Davis took the job that North Carolina was –
they were Final Four his first year.
I'm just saying, like, as the position itself, North Carolina was looked at as like one of the 3 or 4 best jobs in the world.
It's like Notre Dame. Good, bad, up, down. It's the gig, man. I mean, you are the center of the universe still in that. You are. You just are. North Carolina still is. It takes a decade to go away, and they haven't lost it for a decade.
You know what they've done though is they've started funneling a lot of their money to football, and Bill Belichick being in town has changed what North Carolina.
I disagree, man.
Okay,
I think it takes a decade for you to, like, Nebraska will never be what they were. And it took a decade to lose all that. They haven't lost it. Like I said, they were a Final Four team less than 5 years ago. It is still North Carolina. It is still powder blue. It is still Michael Jordan. And when you go to recruit there and they fly you up on a June weekend and every former North Carolina baller is in town, every one of them. And they live in your city. One lives close. and suddenly they're involved in your recruitment, because that's what North Carolina does.
Mhm.
You are joining the mafia. You are joining the family, and you get vetted by former players and former coaches and family members. It's just how they do business. It hadn't changed that much. Now it's on the verge, because the land underneath them has changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they realize it, but even with the floundering system, they're still landing top 10 5-star recruits. Even as bad as it got, they still get them.
You're still getting them, but you do worry that with the decisions about the Dean Dome.
Oh yeah, this is,
and again, where at a school where football used to never matter, and money went to basketball and then football. Bill Belichick coming to town really changed the focus of what North Carolina was doing.
I think it began with Mac. Let's not take away what Mac did. I mean, there were some winning seasons, but Belichick
did the money that they started to invest in it.
Not the basketball money. I don't think the basketball money lessened one iota. I think they came up with more football money, but the basketball dudes, the ones that are sitting in the first 10 rows at that big old Dean Dome, that money was still going toward the court and toward the players. And it was just mismanaged. They didn't bring in the right dudes. I don't think Davis, at the end of the day, is a very good X's and O guy. I think he's a good North Carolina man. But knowing that, I do think when you talk about guys like Brad Stevens, they are a name as which that you do take their call. I don't care who you are. You just take their call. You might politely say no, but you don't say, I don't want to talk to him.
Well, it's funny. We've now, we've talked about how we've reached a phase in college basketball where there's not many. I feel like Iowa's the closest thing to a Cinderella,
and
because
that's what we're going to have to define them as.
Because the truth is, and like Texas isn't, because they've got all the money and they recruited D1 talent, like a high-end major conference talent. Iowa, for all accounts, is really Drake's team moved over to the Big Ten.
There's not an NBA player on that team.
That team was Drake a year ago. Their coach came, they brought their players with them. That's a mid-major team playing in the Big Ten. That's the closest thing to a Cinderella.
And that's what it's going to be from here on out.
But it's funny that we've gotten there, but also we sit here about to start the Sweet 16, and there are Florida, Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, like legitimate, the blue bloods of college basketball are sitting at home.
Well, half of them are. There's still a lot still playing. But yeah, there's a lot gone. And that's part of the equalization on the top, but that's because the bottom has risen. I mean, the top hasn't fallen. The bottom of what we consider Cinderella, whatever we want to call them,
right,
has risen from 14 to 9. That's about, anything below that, you can't even step on the court, and we see the outcome there. We just have to redefine what we consider Cinderellas. It's going to be the very good Nebraska teams that have a bunch of good high average basketball players, but not any NBA guys. Those guys are all on the 17 schools that send guys to the NBA. Those guys have already been filtered up through the system, and they might have been on your team last year. And hopefully you found a sophomore that might be one of those guys that transfers next year, but you got him this year. And those are the Cinderellas. Those are the ones that we're going to see get there. It's not bad to me. It's just a different way to look at how we define an underdog.
Yeah. But with Duke and UConn, kind of there's some you could say are borderline blue bloods. Duke and UConn, I think, are.
Michigan State, I think, qualifies in there.
How about win a title in the last 30 years?
They are. I mean, they are a Sweet 16, and that's where the line.
Blue bloods don't like.
That's
like saying the Buffalo Bills are one of the most storied franchises because they made it to 4 Super Bowls. No, it's just you got to win titles with that.
Define the titles. There's SEC titles.
No, I'm talking about national champ. If you want to be a college basketball blue blood, Izzo won 1 title.
Well, he's still coaching and has, and there's about 8 guys that have done that. I'm saying
blue blood. Michigan State's not a blue blood.
They kind of are. I mean, of those that are left, they're lower echelon, but they kind of. I think the definition. There's 5 extraordinary. Well, I'd say more than that. About 8, top of the line. No matter what happens, they're there. But again, they fluctuate in and out. And then there's another 10 that they're destination schools. I mean, there's not much higher.
If you're going to be a blue blood, I think our sons have to have seen them win a title at some point. Otherwise, Is Nebraska still a college football blue
they're
blood?
not. It takes a decade. When
then
it's gone,
Michigan
it's
State
gone.
is kind of gone.
But they never really left. They're a Sweet 16 school every year. They're formed when you go to the national.
Tennessee's a Sweet 16 school every year.
Well, but there's a difference when you go to the national, like the made for TV tournaments. That always include. There was about 6 or 8 of them. Michigan State is always one of them. It's Michigan State, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina. It's Michigan State. Name the come and goes, but Michigan State is always one of those group. And whether they're winning or not, the perception, they're a national program that
I'm not saying it's not a big brand. I'm just saying that at some point you become less relevant than.
I think to those that are chasing just championships, but I do think they're not as relevant as most common. But again, they're the brand that is brought to the party, and when you bring those, and that's kind of where you want to be as a player and as a coach. So that, by definition, to me, is a blue blood.
I agree with Rob. I think of Michigan State. I think blue blood. I forget that they haven't won a title in 20 plus years because they're always there. They're always around. They're near Final Fours. Izzo's been there forever, the same way Coach K was. And when you think about the greats, you think about the Coach Ks, you think about the Izzos, you think about them Roy Williams, you think about Bill Self now. Those are blue bloods for a reason, and they've earned it. They've put their name on it. And when you think about the sport of college basketball, it's one of the first teams that comes to mind when you think usually power programs. I don't think about Texas in that light. They can have all the money in the world. Doesn't matter. They don't win enough. They're not consistent enough. At least under Tom Izzo. Whether you win or not, and winning's hard, especially in this college basketball era. UCLA may be getting close to that area where they may be falling off as a blue blood. I don't think Kentucky's there yet. I don't think North Carolina's there yet. They're still both blue bloods, in my opinion. I would even consider a team like Villanova, even though Jay Wright's gone. That's one of those teams where you look at it and it's first thing that comes to mind is, wow, that's a really good basketball team year in, year out. It takes a lot to lose blue blood status too, I think, once you've built it up and earned it. But Nebraska football is a good barometer for losing blue blood status. But you have to go through really, really lean years to lose that. Michigan State's never done that. 210-656-ESPN, 656-376. And up next, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys because Brian Schottenheimer was speaking at Pro Days, and they have some work to do still before the draft gets here. Will they address the linebacker situation? RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys, joined the Blitz a little bit earlier today. We'll play some of that for you next and talk about it as we continue here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with A.J. Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle, we've made it. The Sweet 16 gets underway. University of Texas and University of Houston in action.
It's a game day. Baseball in hand. How are the Astros going to do? We'll talk baseball for a minute anyway, but oh my goodness, it is all basketball. Get here early. The party starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with A.J. Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Mornings 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Texas Gun Shows brings you the largest gun shows, and this weekend it's in Hondo, Texas at the Medina County Fair Hall. Open this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 and 10 a.m. to 4 Sunday. Texas Gun Shows is at the Medina County Fair Hall this Saturday and Sunday, 733 FM 462 North.
Free products and services are the best. They're next to non-existent, though. But the next best thing does exist. Barter. Alamo Barter. Right here in San Antonio, if you have a business and provide a product or service, you can barter with hundreds of other businesses that are already members. From trips to a medical visit, restaurants, and home services, Alamo Barter is a great way for you to trade out your skills with others. Call Alamo Barter or visit them online at alamobarter.com. alamobarter.com.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-731-4558 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-731-4558 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
You like saving money, right? We all do. That's why Allstate just lowered the price of car insurance. But wait, there's a catch. Lower. Actually lower. So if you're shopping around or just want to see how much you could save, check Allstate first for a new lower auto rate that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state, only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-7098. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-7098. That's 800-575-7098. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Ahoy, matey! Is that a new phone? Aye, Captain, that's me new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE. You must have paid a pretty doubloon for that. Nay, 'twas zero down from Cricket Wireless. So, you plundered it. Nay, again, 'tis a monthly payment plan with BreadPay. You're shivering me timbers. I shiver you not. Me first payment is next month. Aye, that's not a plunder. That's a steal.
Get a new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE for $0 down when you pay over time with BreadPay. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Subject to approval of credit application. BreadPay loans are made by Comenity Capital Bank and Bread Financial.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I am James Pledger here on 94.1. You can follow me on Instagram, X, all the good social medias, even TikTok. At I am Pledger. You can follow the station at SA Sports Star. If you want to comment along with what you're doing, we've always got the YouTube page open to you at SA Sports Star on YouTube. Frank on our YouTube channel says Rob's right in regarding the Michigan State to Blue Blood connection. And it's one of those things where I look at it, and Michigan State has always been one of the premier programs ever since I was a kid, and it has not fallen off. So when I think Blue Bloods, that's one of the teams that comes to mind when I think about them. The Dallas Cowboys, well, they're still a blue blood in terms of national exposure, who people know them as, but the titles and the consistency have been few and far between when it comes to Dallas, but it feels like they're making changes to get that on track. And this year going into the offseason, Brian Schottenheimer was talking about how he's going to be a little bit more involved in the draft process this year versus last.
Yeah, it's just getting to know all the prospects. Obviously, these guys have done a great job. Of course, talking about Will McClay and from Jerry down, Stephen Jerry, but Will McClay, Mitch LaPointe, Ross, Chris Vaughn, they've done a great job setting the board. And now I'm kind of going through all the positions, and everybody, you want to be prepared to do what we need to do on defense, but certainly we're not going to pass on a great offensive player if they're there at one of those spots. And but I'm so much more familiar with. Last year was more of I saw the highlight films, the POAs. Now I've seen game film. I've seen these guys compete, and it makes it a little easier to help make that selection.
And that's going to be very important moving forward. And he was even asked, you've got that new defensive coordinator. You talked about filling those holes on defense, even though you're not going to skip a great offensive player. And I believe when he says that, and I don't believe it because he's an offensive guy. I believe it because his philosophy is bring in the best talent, because when you reach for players, that's when you miss. When you reach for positions, when you reach for need. And I do believe that he is of the mindset of take the best available player to you. But he does know that there are holes to fill. So what's it going to be like evaluating guys for Christian Parker?
Yeah, I think he knows exactly what he's looking for. I think that's very evident. That has been evident, Tommy, from the time we sat down and started the interview processes. He knows exactly what he's looking for at each spot. It's not a cookie cutter, league. You're going to have guys with long arms, short arms, things like that. But the vision is very clear. And again, I love that because the way he sees football, the way I see football is very similar.
And that was very important. I think when he talks about long arms, short arms, it means there's no type. He understands that players are different, but your game film, how you use it. Some people may have short arms. Reuben Bain is a big deal made about the length of his arms when he came back from the combine. But he also talked about watching the tape. And when you watch the tape and turn on the tape, he was a disruptive force on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't think anything's going to preclude them from drafting a player that they see that fits their mold, their mindset, their mentality. And I think that's a big part of what he's looking for when he's out scouting at these pro days. And that's exactly what he said.
Well, I think it starts with getting to know the young man, and so we try to get in early and take them to dinner. You get a chance to kind of see them in an environment other than in the facility where they're talking football, doing football things that they love. And that's really important to us, get to know the person, what motivates them, what's important to them. And then obviously it's in this type of setting, you want to see the guys compete. And are they the front of the line? Are they listening? What are they doing? And it's not so much of the movement and things like that. We've seen plenty of film. It's more of, do they follow instructions? Are they at the front of the line? Are they competing? Do they have good juice and energy? Those are the things that kind of jump off during the pro days.
And Fred Record says he'd rather see the Cowboys trade that 20th pick for a veteran linebacker to be more established from the get-go. And I understand that philosophy, but I also understand value. And trading a first-round pick for a linebacker, a middle linebacker that is not consensusly a Luke Kuechly or Fred Warner, that's not value. You're not getting the value because you need to build around other players. There are players that, whether it's kicker, punter, and I'm not putting middle linebacker into that specific category, but there's a lot of people talking about they don't want to take Caleb Downs too early because of positional value. And I can tell you a linebacker that's already been paid that you will have to absorb the contract of, that also coming up on years in the league where you're talking about potential fall. There's just not a lot that you can give up in return. I would say third round pick, that 92nd overall, is probably the max if you're talking about a guy like Jordan Brooks. But even then, that feels a bit rich for a middle linebacker. And I'd have to look at Jordan Brooks' contract to see what's left on it in terms of the money, because that's the value of these first, second, third round pick. You're locking players in to lower cap deals, which when you're paying a quarterback $65 million, you're paying a receiver $34 million, you're paying another receiver on the tag almost $30 million. You're paying a kicker on the second round tender $5 million. Like, these, finding those draft picks, or not even finding them, but just having their cap space available to you on your roster is huge. And I know the Blitz was talking earlier today about 1-year guys. The majority of your roster is 1 and 2 year guys. You have some staples that have longer deals, but for the most part, the majority of your roster, especially the bottom third to half, turns over almost every year. Like, it's 1-year deals that you're probably signing back again. Just, it is a constant churn at the bottom of your roster, but B, also just in an ability to keep in a salary cap league. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. You want to be a part of the conversation. RJ Ochoa talking about that and more, including the Cowboys' opportunity at a Super Bowl, or at least hosting one, seemingly passing them by. We'll get into all of that as we continue here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
I'm worth more.
I'm worth more.
You bet I'm worth more.
We completely agree. At GiveMeTheVIN.com, you are worth more, and your car's worth more. And we want to pay more for good cars that Give Me the VIN, because they are worth more, and so are you. And remember, if we don't beat a deal from Carvana or CarMax, we'll pay you $100. For top price, trust, and ease of transaction, GiveMeTheVIN.com, America's best car buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVIN.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Attention coaches, educators, and booster clubs. Need a fundraiser that's different from the rest? With Gardenville, supporters purchase something they already need. High quality, locally sourced mulch and compost. Your organization earns money on every sale. Real products, real value, with support from Gardenville to keep it simple. Ready to grow your fundraiser? Visit garden-ville.com/fundraising. That's garden-ville.com/fundraising.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats. Looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the time for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Furnished by IntelliBrands.
Have you ever felt leg pain, restlessness, cramps, tingling, swelling, numbness, itchiness, or coldness? Then you need the new patented Legsercise Pro, a natural circulation booster that uses continuous automatic leg movement to soothe pain and promote healthy circulation the natural, drug-free way.
Using Legsercise made walking painless again.
Legsercise Pro's patented walking simulator propulsion technology moves your feet back and forth along its concave track, creating constant movement and flex at both the knee and ankle joints. It's like having a physical therapist right in your own home.
I have much less swelling and no more tingling.
Call right now and order your very own Lexercise Pro, the new proven automatic leg mover that soothes pain and naturally promotes healthy circulation. Call 800-555-1212. That's 800-555-1212. 800-555-1212 now.
These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
My name is Jessica. Years ago, I was diagnosed with a thyroid condition. I slept all the time, was fatigued, had no energy, and a bad attitude. Now I've lost 50 pounds and I'm still losing. My medications have been scaled back. My emotions are stable and I have lots of energy. People at work say I'm happy, perky, and my husband says he's not walking on eggshells around me any longer. The Institute for Functional Health changed my life.
Call for your complimentary consultation, 210-468-1891. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
When you're vacationing in your RV, there are some things you can always count on. Laying out on a hammock, waking up to birds chirping, and board games with the family.
What? It's not cheating.
Frank, you're scaring the kids.
Oh, come on, guys. We're having fun. It's family time.
With Progressive, your RV is protected 24/7, so you're prepared for whatever you don't see coming.
Technically, it's a loophole.
It's a children's board game. You're a grown man, Frank.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Monday just got better. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star is hosting the Spring Golf Classic After Party at the Hangar Bar and Grill on Petrenko. Party kicks off at 2 p.m. with a Blitz live on site. Big love to our tournament sponsor, Flight by Yingling, and props to our co-sponsors, Jesse Hernandez, the Texas Chunkla, Jim B, and Sarah Otto Group on the Rocks Premium Cocktails, PPL Motorhomes, and Hornitos for making it happen. The Sports Star Golf Classic After Party, Monday at 2, Hangar Bar on Petrenko.
This is Andrew Monaco, and you're listening to the home of the Aggies, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I am James Pledger. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Appreciate y'all riding along with me tonight. Earlier today on the Blitz, RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys, former co-host of the Saturday Morning Hangover with yours truly here on San Antonio Sports Star, joined to enlighten us on what the Cowboys' plans, directions may be, some of the rumors you've been hearing about potential trades, but also the news that it broke about the upcoming future of Super Bowl 63 and how that could affect the Dallas Cowboys.
Joining us now on the Buyers Barricades guest line. And RJ, I actually want to start with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones not getting, apparently, the Super Bowl in 2029. Adam Schefter tweeting out that it's only a, quote, matter of formality that Las Vegas will get the Super Bowl in 2029. I'm sure you heard while in San Francisco covering Super Bowl 60 that a lot of people thought that that Super Bowl after L.A., Atlanta, Dallas was in the mix to get that one. Do you think Jerry's really bummed today to find out that it's going back to Vegas?
Yeah, I think, it's strange to see the Cowboys so punished. I wasn't at Super Bowl 45, but I know that you were running around and skating for your life, Jason. I don't know what you were doing then, Joe. I don't know if you were still complaining about Whataburgers and jalapenos, but
probably.
I mean, it's crazy to think that will be when AT&T Stadium, Cowboy Stadium, whatever you want to call it, will be 20 years old. I mean, and it set the sort of template for what we've seen from these brand new stadiums. If you build a stadium, the NFL will give you a Super Bowl, and we will now have seen multiple stadiums be announced, be built, and hosted multiple Super Bowls, all in the stand in question. And so it's amazing that at the time of Super Bowl 45, Vegas was still this taboo idea for the NFL, and it will now have gotten 2 Super Bowls while Jerry Jones continues to wait. But shout out to the ice storm and the seating fiasco.
You know, it's really hard to believe that Jerry World's already 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredible. Time flies, man.
But it is so nice. And we were talking earlier, RJ, because you were with us at the Super Bowl in Atlanta when we had that wonderful hotel a gazillion miles outside of the city. And the weather there for a couple of days sucked with snow and ice. And yet Atlanta is getting one. So it can't be the weather that's really keeping North Texas from getting another Super Bowl.
Well, the Atlanta Super Bowl was a year after they literally put it in Minnesota, right? Like, if they're afraid of weather, you know what I mean? Like, they clearly didn't act that way with regards to Super Bowl 52. I think it has to be relative to the seating fiasco, the ticket fiasco. I mean, that's only really ever happened once in NFL history. I don't know that it matters that it was between 2 marquee franchises, right? Like, it was the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's clearly not an ergonomic issue. I mean, the building is hosted. Like, what has it not hosted? You know what I mean? What event possible after this summer? It will have literally hosted World Cup games and World Cup matches, and so it has checked every single possible box. The NFL's insistence on denying it over and over again remains kind of bewildering, because Dallas and the Fort Worth area, the Metroplex, is substantial. It's just it left a bad taste in people's mouths.
Well, that's too bad. From what I hear, then San Francisco should never get another one either,
No,
because apparently it was
awful.
awful.
God, no.
So
I mean, I've been fortunate to do a couple of these, obviously, and I'm incredibly grateful to you both and to Rob and to the station at large. And my favorite that I've ever been a part of was actually my first, and it was in Houston. Just because everything was walking distance, and I've never been to a Super Bowl in Indianapolis, but those types of settings, those types of towns where you can walk to everything and everything is all connecting downtown, it's wonderful. That's what sucked about San Francisco, is you had to take an Uber to even just go to the bathroom, basically.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, and Jerry deserves one, and hopefully he gets one before, while he's still above ground.
Jerry needs a lot of people to defend him, Joe. I'm glad you're here to do that. Good for you, man.
Well, he's executive of the year, RJ. Come on. I mean, I got to defend my guy. RJ, what are your thoughts on, now that all this has come out, about the Max Crosby offers that the Cowboys made, apparently, at least reportedly? And are you surprised that the Raiders didn't jump on the second one, especially?
I think that I would be happy if the Cowboys had pulled off any of those deals. I think the second one, obviously it was unfortunate that they had to go from the 20th overall pick to the 12th overall pick. It is interesting that, because I think you can make an argument that the Cowboys' second round draft pick, which would have in all likelihood been next year, they don't have one this year, obviously, but that if you're another team, you might rather have Dallas' second round pick next year and pick 20 this year than Baltimore's first next year. I mean, I think we all believe that Baltimore is more likely to have success than Dallas is. I mean, we can debate the specifics of that. So I do think that it was interesting that the Raiders turned that down. I think that my long-term takeaway from all of it is that this offer is why Osa Odighizuwa is in San Francisco, speaking of, because the moment it got out that he was involved in trade negotiations and trade discussions, the Cowboys had to move him one way or another. I don't say this in any sort of like conspiratorial way. I think it made sense for Dallas to move him, obviously, but I think that it became very, very, very obvious. There were obviously reports coming out of DFW that Osa's name was being thrown out, that even though this deal did not happen, it maybe tipped over the can of worms too much relative to Osa specifically, to where Dallas had to make a move.
RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com with us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. I think it also kind of indicates to me, based on what Jerry said in Indianapolis about the financial impact of having 2 first-round picks in one draft, that I'm convinced they're not going to use both. They're going to trade one of them, and likely the 20th, although it could be the 12th if the offer is right. But I'd be stunned at this point if the Cowboys did draft 2 players at 12 and at 20.
Yeah, I think, as we get closer, the consensus board starts to kind of become clearer and clearer and clearer. And it's really difficult to see the Cowboys walking away with help at the position where they most need it, at linebacker. And so you can argue that getting out makes a lot of sense. I think it made more sense before the Osa trade because they didn't have any day 2 picks. That was what I wanted them to do all along, was to pick up some capital. But at the very least, they have some pocket change now. And so I think you're right. And I would love for them to, there are a lot of permutations you can come up with, obviously. But if you told me they traded out of 12 and pick up, a second or a third round pick this year and a future first, a future second, I know that's a hard thing to do, is to ask people to be patient, but that would go a long way. Recall, I know you two do, but they don't have multiple first round picks anymore next year because they dealt away the better of them to the Jet and Quinnen Williams trade. And so if you can continue to rob Peter, who cares about Peter? We're interested in paying Paul. I mean, that's what we're after here. And if you can continue to amass assets in that regard, I would love that. And look, the board's going to go the way it goes. I just wrote something about maybe offense makes sense 20 in a way that it was hard to conceive of at the beginning of the draft process, because you might be wiped out on defense at 20 overall. And you run those risks when you roll those dice. And that's why you have to use free agency to stop your coverage so you aren't caught with your pants down. But right now, the Cowboys do have their pants around their ankles at linebacker at the very least.
Well, how would you feel about this, RJ? And I bring this up, and I'm sincere in wanting your opinion on this. If the Cowboys need a linebacker and they want to get a young guy that is something, how would you feel about maybe trading both of your first-round picks to move up to, say, I don't know, 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think that's dumb. I don't want anything to do with that. I appreciate your sincerity, and I have some, in reciprocation for you. You just get so few opportunities to have this opportunity, right? Like you don't get a chance to have multiple top 20 picks all the time. And so you do have to, you have some sort of obligation to stretch that out as far as you can. That isn't to say that you must, right? Like you don't ever want to go into it and say, we absolutely have to do this. You want to be flexible at the very end of everything. But as great as you think somebody like Sonny Styles is, if that's the dude who you're going up to get, I just think that that's not a luxury this team can afford. And that isn't necessarily being win now or long term or all in or bust the budget or whatever stupid idiom we're slapping on tumblers these days. It's just a matter of what is the middle of the Venn diagram, and the two sides being responsibility and opportunity. And you have to find that perfect sweet spot. And I just can't envision a world where dealing both of those picks is that middle.
RJ Ochoa, bloggingtheboys.com. And that same theory, trading 12 and 20 up to number 3. Pro Football Focus had a mock draft this week where they had them doing that to take Jeremiah Love, which is dumb. Although John Machota has a article today in The Athletic, top 25 potential players. The only offensive player in the top 20 is Jeremiah Love at number 9. Brian Schottenheimer yesterday at the UT Pro Day said something along the lines of, they've done so much in free agency that they're not going to have to stretch. They can go BPA if that is an offensive player. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Jeremiah Love makes it to 12, if he just naturally falls, right? Like that's why you do your homework, right? That's why you check in. You simply do never know. And I would imagine that he is, on their overall board very, very, very high. I mean, he's an incredibly talented player. And you do want to leave yourself options. The most, prominent is from 6 years ago when, no way CeeDee Lamb could be there at 17. You're dreaming, you're stupid, you're dumb, it's impossible. And then he's there, and all of a sudden, you show us who you really are. That's what was so exciting about that was that, okay, are you going to force an issue because of a positional need, or are you going to be the team that actually does what you say and take the best player available on the board? Because at the time it was obviously CeeDee. And so if that happens naturally with Jeremiah Love, hell yeah, you figure it out, right? Like, who cares what Javonte thinks down the road? But it isn't very practical. And I don't like to get in the business of saying anybody stinks, but I think the folks at PFF do fantastic work generally. This was weird. This was a little like, what are you thinking? There's nobody with an even irrational mind who thinks that this is remotely close to being possible. Again, it's enough of a far-fetched thing to ask if they would seriously take him at 12, let alone to package the 2 first-round picks and jump up to do it.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. But again, it's Jerry Jones, and and who knows? Well, either way, so you don't trade your 2 firsts to go get a linebacker early. You keep that, or you trade down, or whatever. You still have a hole at the linebacker position, RJ. What the hell are you going to do about it?
If I had to guess, I would say that these conversations, as we noted, feel very similar to wide receiver last year, right? And we were, approaching the draft saying, okay, it's got to be Ted McMillan, it's got to be Matthew Golden, and the evaluation that the public had on Matthew Golden was clearly very different, than what NFL teams and front offices did because of how far he slipped in the first round. And I think you could look at his rookie season and say that was justified. But Ted McMillan didn't make it to them, and so they said, well, crap, it sucks. Our guy didn't make it, so what do? They did not force a wide receiver, obviously, and then they called the rainy day fund. When the draft was over, they called the Pittsburgh Steelers and they dealt a future pick to get George Pickens. And I would imagine that that's the get out of jail free card that they're kind of burning, or that is burning on their pocket right now. They have to have some deal in mind. I would imagine deals A, B, and C in the event that, situations A, B, and C unfold. That would be the responsible way to go about it. And I recognize that I'm giving them some benefit of the doubt that they maybe don't deserve, but they know better than us that how poor their linebacker group is right now. And it's depending on DeMarvion Overshown at the moment. And with all due respect, that's an irresponsible way to go about it.
RJ Ochoa, you can catch the full interview at sasportstar.com in our audio vault or on our YouTube channel. Just go to SA Sports Star on YouTube and you will see RJ. Look, they have to have a plan in place. There is a plan in place. There was no plan at receiver until they made the trade for George Pickens, and then there was. They have more than one plan. It's not just Jordan Brooks. It's not Azeez Al-Shaair alone, as they've reported. They've got multiple backup plans to address this if things don't fall their way. And it doesn't have to fall their way going into the draft, and it may not fall their way in the draft. The NFL and roster construction is such a reactionary job because you don't control any of it, whether it's the draft and who picks ahead of you, forcing a trade. You can't force people to trade with you. It is all reactionary. So you have to be willing to either wait for the deal or make the deal happen yourself. And sometimes maybe the best moves are the ones you just let not happen, because we can say everything we want about you need to go get a veteran linebacker, a middle linebacker. What happens if they end up finding the next Sean Lee? Like there are ways through the draft, and it doesn't have to be the first or the 12th or the 20th pick to be able to address that linebacker position. And maybe you find somebody somewhere in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You got 3 there. Is it the best plan? No. But rarely are you able to solve and plug every hole, especially with as many that the Cowboys had coming into the offseason, in one full offseason, in one full free agency cycle, in one draft. And they've done a great job of plugging a bunch of the holes to where we're complaining about linebacker, middle linebacker. They will be able to find some sort of solve for the hole that is currently there, whether that's before or after the draft. I have no doubts about that. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. When we come back, we're going to put a bow on the show, get you ready for Spurs Grizz coming up at 7 o'clock, and get you ready for the Sweet 16, which begins tomorrow as it kicks off with Texas and Purdue. That's all coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hi, everybody. It's Joe Reinagel. You know, now is a great time of year to get your roof inspected and ready for our crazy spring weather. Be it hot, cold, rain, or hail, who knows what Mother Nature has in store for us this year. Call Stevens Roofing at 210-785-0994. You know, your roof protects your home and your family. A quality roof overhead means comfort, confidence, and certainly peace of mind. Now is the time to get your roof ready for spring. Call Stevens Roofing at 210-785-0994 or go to stevensroofing.net.
The tournament is back. You know there's going to be upsets. You know there's going to be buzzer beaters. And I can tell you, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Hi, Jason Minix here from The Blitz. On Underdog, you can make your picks and win money right now here in Texas. Love playing on Underdog because it's fun and it's easy. Because you pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get all your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So download the Underdog app today. Use my promo code STAR to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code STAR at Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Texas. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit ncpgambling.org.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Hi, I'm Chef Franklin Becker. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. There's only one FDA-approved Ozempic made by Novo Nordisk. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5, 1, and 2 milligrams.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it.
Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Bring your visions to life with smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need to achieve your goals. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
94.1.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Appreciate y'all rolling along with me tonight as we get you all set for the night. And I'll tell you, the San Antonio Spurs still 3 games back, but it feels catchable. It feels attainable to catch Oklahoma City for the number 1 overall seed because they have some tough matchups. Now, I don't expect the Spurs to run the table, but when you play the Lakers, who as hot as they've been twice, the Nuggets, the Knicks, tonight they got the Celtics. They still have the Pistons on there. It's 6 games that are potential losses. Now, I understand the Spurs have 2 against the Nuggets as well, but there is a lot of Milwaukee's and Memphis's and teams that feel like they've shut it down for the year or are trying to shut it down for the year and jockey for that playoff or lottery positioning and who gets more lottery balls than the next team. So while 3 games, which is 14 left to play, seems like a lot with as well as Oklahoma City has been playing, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you can still catch them and get that number 1 seed going into the playoffs. But how important is it? How important is it for the Spurs to have the number 1 seed? Because I don't think it's utterly important. I think playing from the 2 seed is fine for San Antonio. I think they're just playing that well currently. And if they're playing that well, whether home, away, and the way that they play defense travels, home, road, whatever. And with the level that Wemby has helped take his game to, and I understand the campaigning for the MVP, he does play both sides of the floor at an extremely high and efficient level. And he also makes everyone around him better because of the gravity that he commands, whether it's on pick and rolls, whether it is his ability to pass out of double teams, whatever it is, he affects the game offensively in so many ways, just outside of the points. And I think those are reasons why he should be considered for MVP. And if he continues to play this way, and if the Spurs get said number 1 seed, I think it's going to be hard to deny that he shouldn't at least be in the top 2 when it comes to the MVP voting at the end of the year. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure. I am James Pledger here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I appreciate all y'all for riding along with me tonight. Remember, call your loved ones, check on them. You never know what people are going through in life, and a simple, hey, how you doing, can change everything. Start your morning tomorrow with Rob and AJ, the Morning Huddle, 6 to 10, and of course, the Blitz from 2 to 6 with Jason and Joe. I won't be back the rest of the week because we're going to bring you the Sweet 16 all week long because we are your home for the NCAA tournament right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Until next week, we'll see you tomorrow.
94.1.
Why are there cages all over my office?
Joel, allow me to introduce you to all my new friends, the Easter Bunnies. This is just what we need around here to get us into the Easter spirit.
Nigel, these guys are cute, but here at Quarter Moon, we focus 100% on fixing plumbing and AC issues.